here's another example of Art Deco styling. The tan building, limestone clad on the left, very vertically oriented. Flattened, stylized fluting over the windows at street level, zigzags, typical Art Deco ornament. But notice the shape of that building. It's kind of like a high-backed armchair for the Jolly Green Giant. That shape illustrates the response of a number of Chicago architects to an ordinance they passed here in 1923 that required all skyscrapers over a certain height must have setbacks in them. They can't just build out to the lot line on all sides and create like a canyon along the streets. New York City had a similar. Smith unified the whole building before they had good sound deadening glass for offices, and it's right next to the L track when those trains rattle by quite noisily, so they started the offices above that level. Those round grills let air in for the mechanicals. Straight ahead of us, an office between the Great Lakes and the Mississippi. That's why we're a major inland port. But anyway, so it took them 8 years to dig this sanitary ship canal. In fact, moved more one. And I'll tell you, after that was going on, people were thinking, we got to check these guys into an insane asylum. I'm going to tell you how they did that, though. The building is called 150 North Riverside. At the base of that building, Art would even have, and it's fun to talk about it because it's quite a dazzler. Getch Partners architects, but Magnuson Klebensic structural engineers. Their headquarters is in Seattle, Washington, but they have an office here in Chicago too. They won an award for that building. La-di-da. Anyway, fly through here every year, migrating. And after I got to thinking about it, I thought, well, now how do they know that? How do they count them? Could be 80 built together. They use less steel in that method, and then they mutually support each other. All 9 of the tubes go to the 50th. Keep looking to the right now, and you'll get another glimpse of it. Anyway, all 9 go to the 50th. 2 end there, 2 end at 66, 3 drop off at 90, and only 2 of those 9 tubes go all the way to the 110th floor. Like I said, it was the world's tallest until it was knocked off by the dinky Petronas Towers. They're only 88 stories. But Caesar Pelli's design incorporated structural spires. That's what knocked Sears off tallest. I'm, Chicago born, still carrying a grudge. But anyway, they got knocked off by Taipei 101 in Taiwan. They got knocked off, and I'll tell you right now, in Dubai, in the the bird buildings built in that Art Deco period, the 20s and 30s. Back to Boeing, Ralph Johnson, that truss work transfers 25% of the load of that lower portion to they hired to be tan colored. But anyway, it was windowless back in the day because the apparel people, design matters. They didn't want windows, they needed wall space so they could display all their goods, right? Plus, they didn't want sunlight coming in the face. The merchandise mart on the left, as we've called it for many years, is now simply being branded as The Mart. And it was built originally in 1930. Marshall Field Company wanted to consolidate all their wholesale operations. So Alfred Shaw of GAPW designed this building, 4.2 they are, and that's got top billing, platinum. Then we have gold, silver, certified. A feather in their cap because we know it's not easy being green. Who told us that? Hermit. George Nimmons designed this warehouse on the left. The State Bar Association took over. So the tenants went full circle pretty quickly, though, Quakers to lawyers. And we're coming to, on your left, up ahead with the things blowing in the breeze, probably the most photographed towers in Chicago, what we lovingly call the Corncob Towers. But Bertrand Goldberg, the architect, likened these to tree houses in the city because they have a central trunk core where the elevators are. The branches are the units that fan out kind of a pie shape, and then the leaves on the tree are the balconies. It is modernist. This was from the late 50s into the 60s when they were built and completed. But Goldberg marched to the beat of a different drum than his mentor, Mies van der Rohe. He was a modern plaza. It's got a luxury Langham hotel from the UK at the first 4 floors, and all the floaties up with the lines in the plaza, I'm sure. Trump International Hotel and Tower is our second tallest building in Chicago. You can't see the top here either, but I will point out the setbacks as you go up the tower. they're meaningful because they line up with their very prestigious neighbors. The first setback corresponds to the roof line, if you're living there, if you have a car. Behind the fountain, though, we have another way of handling parking. For Riverview residences, this is a DeStefano Partners design. And then every time I go by here, I think the Statue of Liberty up at the top. Does that affect anybody else that way? It does me. But anyway, this design at the base also parking. However, you wouldn't know that unless I told you. It has a concrete core, and then that three-lobed cloverleaf design matters. The architects who designed this were pretty young at the time, George Shipperite and John Heinrich, and they had been influenced probably by Mies van der Rohe's work. But anyway, they originally considered having that be a four-leaf clover design. Now I say design